Today it is time for a best of 5 series of top level StarCraft 2, and what I've got for you is a Terran versus Zerg, which also just so happens to be one of the biggest rivalries in modern StarCraft. These two players, they came up right around the same time, they're right around the same age as well, and they're right around the same skill level. As a matter of fact, I just looked it up, right? They've faced off against each other over the last couple of years in tournaments only, 55 times in total. Now imagine the amount of times they must have faced on the ladder against each other as well. Anyways, 55 times in total, of which 25 times in 2020 alone. Spawning here in the top right-hand corner in game number 1, that's Pillars of Gold. Playing with the red Terran SCVs from France, we have none other than Team Liquid's Clem. His opponent in the opposite corner playing here with the blue Zerg drones. Playing for Clash from Italy, we're looking at none other than Reynor's main hatchery. Now, if you've been watching my YouTube channel, you probably know that I'm a big fan of both of these players. I've casted many of their games before. So let's see how good they currently are. So when it comes to the current Aligulek rankings, so the world rankings overall, in the number 1 position we have Serral, number 2 Reynor, number 3 Maru, and number 4 Clem. These two guys are ridiculously good, and as I've said in many previous casts as well, they're only just 18 years old, so we'll see where these two are gonna go, especially over the next couple of years. Now, this is the grand finals of the ESL Open Cup, which is a smaller online tournament that gets played every single week. This is the European finals. I have seen a little highlight clip of one of the maps of this best of 5 series, which is Submarine, which I actually just quickly had a look at. It's game number 2, so in case you're interested in a weird strategy, I haven't seen the result of that match because I actually stopped the clip about halfway through. But at the very least, I know that we are in for a crazy strategy at some point in this best of 5. So far, though, everything is looking very normal here. We just have a standard hatch gas pool. Now, by the way, when it comes to that Aligulek ranking, right, I always kind of want to, like, put a little asterisk next to that because you can't really take it as, like, you know, the best way to judge skill, I suppose. I mean, it's pretty good. I guess it is the best way that we can properly judge skill right now. But when it comes to tournament victories, for example, I mean, it's very obvious that Clem just hasn't been as successful as Serral, Reynor, and Maru. So when it comes to tournament earnings, for example, Serral is at $877,000, Reynor at $290,000, and Maru at $871,000. So that's tournament earnings alone. Clem, however, is at $71,000, which is nothing to scoff at, obviously, but it's significantly lower than those others, especially Serral and Maru, obviously. But I mean, even though he hasn't really won, like, any big tournament yet, I feel like it's only a matter of time. Like, he's truly one of the greatest StarCraft players in the world, and while, you know, Reynor really peaked right when he came up a couple years ago, he immediately was one of the very best, it seemed. Clem has taken a little bit longer to get to that point, but he has looked absolutely phenomenal. Anyways, we should be in for a treat. Let's figure out what's going to end up going on. So a standard 1-1-1. This is the opener that we saw a lot a couple of, well, I would say a couple of years ago, but we've been seeing it for a long time. More recently, it seems to be more popular to go for the barracks into a factory, into a 3rd CC, and then the starport. A little bit of a greedier variant. I think the main reason for that is that Zerg players have gotten ridiculously good at defending the standard 1-1-1s. So generally speaking, if you want to stay up to speed with their eco, since you're not likely to gonna do a lot of damage to them, right? It's usually a good idea to grab that 3rd CC a little bit quicker. One thing though to keep in mind here is that these two, like I said, have faced off against each other hundreds of times. So they, you know, they know what the other is capable of, and there's a lot of mind games at play as well. So apparently, actually, it's gonna be a Pneumatized Carapace opener, which is the Overlord speed upgrade. This is one of those builds that we don't see actually all too often at the pro level. Reynor is really one of the few players that does this. It seems to be only really popular whenever a player feels like they are significantly better than the other. So here's the thing. You can scout everything that's going on, which is nice and all, but it's not like you're really going to be able to do a whole lot with that information, at the very least aggressively, right? Nice little bit of control here. Like, say, for example, you see right now, okay, my opponent went for a 3rd and then even like a 4th command center. Yeah, you can know that, and then it's not like you can really punish that, right? Like, the upgrade is rather expensive. So most people on the ladder, at the very least, seem to prefer going for the lair, which is almost as expensive as the actual Pneumatized Carapace upgrade. But Reynor still does like going for it, at the very least, every once in a while. Now, so far, I'm liking this position here for Clem quite a bit. He decided to bring that armory into the mix as well, which means that he's got a couple of hellbats. Another downside of going for that going for that quick Overlord speed upgrade. Is that the Roach Warren is going to be a little bit late. The Baneling Nest is going to be, you know, late as well. And you can see this is certainly a push that can deal a little bit of damage. Now, there's a Spine Crawler out. The Queens are indeed shooting their spines for a little while already. But this is certainly slowing down that Zerg economy here quite a bit, which is really all that Clem is looking for. Third CC has been started up. It is going to be a cloaking upgrade here as well from the Terran player. He's going into Stimpack now, so it looks like a standard bio transition here in a little bit. He's playing very cautiously though, right? Like, it's super tempting right now to just engage on all of those Queens, but nice control here by both. Really not overextending. Like, if Terran decides to commit here to a push, those Queens and Zerglings will just tear him apart. And likewise, obviously, if Zerg decides to push there, those Hellbats would just roast all of the Zerglings very easily. Zergling's now at the front. Now, this is a nice little move, and obviously the signature move of Reynor. He's very good at that Zergling control and realizing how many of those units he can actually send across. And right now, once again, it turns out the best defense is the offense. He's forcing that entire Zerg army to now return, or rather that entire Terran army to now return back home. And by the time that they arrive, I mean, the Zerglings are already long gone. Banshee, in the meantime, did pick up 2 kills. So that is something worth noting, but nice little macro game here in game number 1. You can see a lot of pressure here coming up from both guys. Both of them desperately trying to see if they can potentially, you know, eke out an advantage one way or another, but it's really not happening. This is, by the way, how they win many games on the ladder, I'm sure. If you're a weaker player, you would just, you know, crumble under the pressure. There's a lot of pressure going on all the time. And even though these are considered to be economical openers, if you make a little mistake, it can be game over very, very quickly. Okay, starts to scan. Nicely done. Confirms 4 creep tumors. Well worth the scan. 4th base coming up as well right now on the high ground. This is always a bit of a scary position to me. Say, for example, siege tanks on the low ground, bio units on the high ground. I mean, Medevacs don't mess around. Speaking of Medevacs, one of them trying to go into the main base right now. Zerglings, though, are waiting. And that's really not going to achieve a whole lot. Now, with this build order that Reynor has gone for, he does have a very late Centrifugal Hooks upgrade. So the Baneling speed upgrade won't be coming up until about another minute or so from now. And there is an opportunity here for the Terran player to go for a 1-1 push. Not super popular in the current meta. Most of the time, it seems like players, you know, prefer dropping, which is exactly what Clem is doing over here. That's an ambitious drone. Yeah, most of the time right now, we don't really see big 1-1 pushes. We see like maxed out 2-2 pushes a lot more often. But at the very least, there is a bit of an opportunity here for the Terran player to get aggressive. But he would need to go, well, right now. Baneling speed still a little while from finishing. I think it will probably be barely done in time, because there's quite a few creep tumors here, and that's going to slow down the push here of the Terran player quite a bit. Baneling drop now loaded up already. Medevac here on the left-hand side, once again unloads those couple of Marines that are left over. They're trying to see if they can get the kill on the base. Not quite going to happen. At the same time, the Hellions, they make their way towards the 3rd base, turn into Hellbats once again. This is the advantage of keeping them alive earlier. Look at that Baneling Nest. Centrifugal Hook still not done. I mean, he could even target fire down the Baneling Nest, but he at this point doesn't know that that upgrade is yet to finish. Well, he'll figure it out right now. Anyways, it does finish up, so that's going to make defending this quite a bit easier, but this is a very scary situation for the Zerg player, but he just barely cleans it up. At the same time, Brenda and the rest of the knitting crew over here apparently are going to be powerful enough with their transfuses to clean up that drop. Oh my god. Hold up. Now, obviously, I'm casting and observing this game by myself, right? So I missed some of these little pushes because there's a ridiculous amount of multitasking going on. But there we have it. Reynor just blew up 17 SCVs during all of that. Insane. So these are, by the way, some of the fastest players in the game. I mean, Zerg APM is always a little bit inflated because of repeat rates and rapid fires and all that, but both of these guys perfectly capable of playing at that 600 APM mark, especially in their later stages, which means literally that they are pressing 10 buttons a second. Sounds unheard of if you are unfamiliar with StarCraft, but it's actually a pretty common number at the tippity top of the skill level. Pretty insane. Once again, attempted Zergling run by over here. Clem this time around ready for it. That said, there are, I guess, some vulnerabilities over at his 3rd base. These SCVs in a bit of a weird position because the wall actually is now working against them. So more of those SCVs end up going down. At the same time, leftover Banshee from earlier has now got 11 kills. Is there an Overseer here? Nope. One has to be morphed in, so that means additional workers will end up going down. Are you seeing this? Like, these guys would absolutely destroy, you know, you and me on the ladder. I like to think I'm half decent at playing StarCraft, but you would just get out multitasked, right? Like, you need to make sure you stay on top of your macro. Now, by the way, it is going to be a lurker transition here from Reynor. Probably looking to go into that hive tech very shortly. Fort CC has landed. It's now morphing into a planetary fortress, but at the same time, big push over here on the left-hand side of the map. Is it going to be enough for the Zerg player to actually hold on? One Overseer still remains. It's going to be able to spot, I guess, 0 Widow Mines, because all of those Widow Mines have already been picked up. The Marines run for their lives. Beautiful split once again by the Frenchman. This is one of the things that Clem is capable of. So I would say there's like, I don't want to really put a number on it, but I think there's like 3 or 4, like a handful of Terra players out there capable of microing against speed banes on creep, right? And actually successfully doing so. This is a skill that Clem has been developing in 2020 in particular. I mean, obviously, it's something he's been developing for a lot longer than that, but he's become extremely efficient at microing those units on the creep. Link Bane trades efficiently, unless you snipe the Banes. Very difficult to do, but very doable if you have 600 actions per minute. So all you need, guys, is play ridiculously fast, and you'll be alright. Now, once again, Reynor is relentless here as well, not letting go off the gas at all. Who needs Mutalisks? Just going to Hydras and Bailing drops, and this is not something that Terran players see a whole lot. Yeah, Zerg players are very good at looking at that minimap. Oh, he even loads the... he even loads the Bane back in, Marines. Oh, there's not enough to kill him. Anyways, Zerg players and Protoss players are very used to being dropped all over the place. Terran, especially in this matchup, usually doesn't get dropped a whole lot, right? We don't really see Zerg drops. So, wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be something that we will see a lot more often going into the future. But, I mean, one of the main reasons why so many SCVs have been killed in this game is precisely because of those bailing drops, and it makes you wonder why we don't see it more often. I guess that's one of the advantages of getting that Overlord speed a little bit earlier. Now that the lurkers are out, this means that the Terran army is going to be having a significantly harder time pushing into the bases. So one way that Clem likes to win at, or one way that Clem likes to win, is by playing a tempo-based style. So basically what he tries to do is he tries to get an advantage. Once again, good splits here by the Frenchman, although loses most of the Medivac, it looks like. So, okay. Well, never mind. Alright, so real quick, to sum up that previous game, what I was trying to mention is that Clem usually wins from that position using that tempo advantage. And a tempo advantage basically means, like, Terran players at the highest level are really good at this. It basically means that you continuously push and push and push, and you never really allow your opponent to grab a hold of the game. Now, lurkers, in a way, sort of shut down that tempo advantage entirely, and it prevents you from continuously pushing, right? So you need to tech up towards ghosts. Now, because of the fact that the 4th base never really was established, and because of the fact that Reynor killed so many of those SCVs, Clem really didn't have much for him going anymore in that match, so he decided to tap out. Maybe a little bit early, but I mean, he knew that maybe he could stick in that game for another 5 minutes, but the odds of him winning were basically 99-1. Anyways, here we go, game number 2. This is the one where I've seen like a 30-second highlight clip, and I watched that clip halfway through. So I don't know who ends up winning, I don't really know what ends up going down, but I'm excited to figure out exactly what happens though. So I've got an idea that something is not quite right here. Alrighty, so double barracks at the front, hatch into a gas and pool. Yeah. There's already one gas geyser taken, so this certainly means that we are going to be seeing a Reaper opener. Obviously, the odd situation here is that the Terran player decided to go for double barracks rather than a single one. My question at this point is he gonna add on a 3rd barracks as well? I think he is. Yeah. He's gonna patrol that SCV until he's got 150 minerals. There it is. And 3rd barracks drops. Okay. So back in the day, we would see a lot of Reaper shenanigans like this. However, Terrans would be forced to like put their triple Rex over here or put their triple Rex over there, right? The problem with that is that obviously if it gets surrounded or you lose one of those structures or you're forced to lift off or whatever, you're in a lot of trouble and you're basically dead, right? This map though, it's so small. I mean, this is Submarine, current smallest map in the map pool. You can just simply create a wall off at home, still have a safe area to expand to if you want to, and you can still reinforce this relatively easily. I'm actually quite surprised we haven't seen more builds like this, because I can imagine it is rather good, especially against, well, you know, maybe players below 7k MMR, which is pretty much everyone. Anyway, Reynor at this point does know what he's going up against, so let's see if he can figure out how to actually deal with this. Alright, so one of the most important upgrades, obviously, against Reapers is Zergling Speed, right? So Zergling Speed is coming up relatively quickly with that Hatch Gas Pool opener. Secondly, in order to actually catch up with them, though, you need Creep. So, as a Zerg player, I know very well that even if you get Link Speed out, with a couple of well-timed grenades, Terran players can deal a lot of damage. And even with Link Speed, you might not be able to get the wraparound. So, having that creep spread, super, super critical. Here, by the way, comes the command center. So one nice thing about Reapers is that they're only 50 minerals and 50 gas. Meaning that, since you're obviously getting more mineral income than gas income, you can expand behind it really quite nicely. Anyhow. This seems like a really good build. So there's the 4th barracks coming up as well. Just a standard opener, guys. Don't worry about it. Ooh. One of the queens actually gets separated. She's running low, and there we go. Great control here so far by the French Terran player. Already getting 300 minerals worth of kills without actually losing anything. One big advantage of Reapers as well is that they have a thing called Combat Drugs, which is a passive ability. And basically, it means that they heal out of combat very, very quickly. Kind of like a Mutalisk, right? So, look at this. He's just disengaging for a little bit. And they're going to be able to go back to this battle very, very shortly. This time around, he decides to use the little jump-up pad right there on the back of the natural. And, I mean, at this point, I think there's more Reapers than Zerglings almost. Well, not quite, but it feels that way anyway. Oh, it's going to be difficult to hold on to a 3rd base here if Reynor decides to grab one without having a bunch of creep there. Zerglings actually... Okay, that's why. Zerglings actually decided to go for a bit of a run-by. So I guess one of those reinforcing Reapers, or actually 2 of those reinforcing Reapers, just got picked up by a group of Zerglings. But still, a really nice, efficient opener here by the Terran, who now has grown to 5 barracks Reaper. And he actually even got an engineering bay. Oh my god! He's going +1, like, infantry weapon upgrades. And obviously, well, these Reapers are infantry, right? Well, good control here so far by Reynor, though, who is actually trying to set up a bit of a sandwich over here. This is where those grenades are super popular and super important. Somehow, some way, he wiggled himself out of there. Looks like those Reapers are all greased up in Vaseline before they leave the barracks. I don't know. Anyways, he's producing non-stop Reapers, and so far it seems to be working out reasonably well. I mean, income-wise, obviously, Terran's not going to feel too much hurt. He's got those mules, bringing in a little bit more income. Doesn't have a lot of SCVs. Ooh. Forces the council there on the 3rd base. The problem is that the creep at this point is moving very nicely. If he can grab all of these Zerglings, though, that would be... Okay, nice response time or reaction time there as well by Reynor. Anyways, the creep spread is starting to look very dangerous, right? And that means that these Reapers are going to be forced to, you know, move around all of that creep. And at some point, I mean, if everything is gooped up, how exactly are you going to engage? Reapers really fall off as this Zerg army is going to grow, so he needs to get something done with them here, and pretty soon as well. Once again, attempted sandwich here by the Zerg player, grabs a lot of those Reapers relatively easily with the wraparound. Still though, with this amount of Reapers, I mean, the ones in the back are just dealing so much damage. Those grenades are still absolutely ridiculous, but this was an important pickup right here by Reynor, as now all of a sudden he creates a little bit of breathing room. Let's have a look once again. Units lost. All of a sudden, this is not looking nearly so bad for the Zerg player anymore. Still though, Clem has not given up. Oftentimes, he's got... Wait, what? He's gonna go up to 9 RAX Reaper? 9 RAX Reaper on 2 base. I feel like this only happens between Reynor and Clem. But this actually looks like a build that has a lot of potential though, right? If you're a Terran player out there, I highly recommend you give this build a try on Submarine specifically. This seems really good. I mean, Reynor obviously very good at, like, setting up multiple control groups of Zerglings, right? It's really not rocket science, but most Zerg players will just simply refuse doing that. It's pretty neat, man. So +1 infantry weapons is done. I'm not entirely sure how that math works out. Yeah, he's now forced to use scans on creep tumors. I don't know if I like it. I really don't think I do. Alright, so Terran has secured 2 base eco right now. So he is fully saturated. He could add on a couple of reactors and tech labs and all that, right? And start up Stimpack for, like, a bio transition here into, like, Marines or Marauders at some point. The creep spread, though, absolutely phenomenal here. And, I've got a feeling that, like, Clem doesn't really have that much anymore going on here. Now, once again, Zerglings are setting themselves up for a run-by. Reynor, at the very least, attempts it. Not quite gonna happen. I mean, these Zerglings are ready to wrap around. Where are they going? Okay. Is he gonna... If he decides to commit to the third base, all of these Reapers will end up getting surrounded. Okay, these are just running around right now to grab some of those stragglers that are reinforcing this Terran army. Third command center is coming up. Fourth command center is coming up. That's insane. Anyways, those Zerglings right now, they are smelling blood in the water. They want to see if they can get the wraparound, but with the creep threat once again, pushed back a little. It's not quite gonna happen. Banelings and Banelink speed are gonna be the name of the game right now for Reynor. +1 missile, or +1 melee, and +1 carapace actually already finished. Yeah. 4 CC, 9 barracks Reaper. What are we watching? Top level StarCraft 2 in 2020, baby. Anyways, here we go. Once again, another attempt here by Reynor to see if he can get the wraparound. And this time around, it looks like the Zerglings are going to be able to surround pretty much all of those Reapers perfectly. The Reapers right now push back against the wall. The Banelings desperately trying to connect to all of this Reaper army. Is he going to be able to roll them in? I think it's just barely going to happen. Oh my god. Look at all that. Ugh. Look at all that blood. That's Reapers and Zerglings for you, man. Oof. This is a bloody battle. Alright, now, despite the fact that he just lost his entire army, apparently Clem is like, okay, this is the time that I'm gonna land my third command center. Well, you can jump to this little... to this little pad over here. Okay, alright. Apparently this is the point, though, where Reynor decides to put on the pressure. 1-1 is done. Ling Bane, both have their... Or Lings and Banes both have their speed upgrades, which is super important. It's gonna be an orbital command. Just Sorry, I can't talk anymore, man. This is cracking me up. He's just morphing in a freaking orbital command right over there at the third base position. Banelings right now trying to see if they can go through that supply depot. They'll be able to do so. And now with a little bit of creep in the main base from the Overlord. And I love this. This little Overlord over here is actually such a nuisance. I almost feel like he should bring more of them. Anyways, with this Overlord over here, it's going to be much easier to get wraparounds here inside of the main base of the Terran player. The Lings and Banes have now entered the domain of the Terran, and I've got a feeling that this is going to be all she wrote right here for game number 2, as apparently Clem accidentally attacks one of his own barracks there for a little bit. GG is called, or actually, only a single G is called, and that means Reynor is up 2-0. I always feel like I shouldn't be casting these games just because I've got a feeling that may very well become a really popular build in Terran vs. Zerg on submarines specifically. And since I mostly play Zerg on the ladder, it might just hurt my own win rate, man. Anyways, that was a lot. That was a lot of fun to check out. Now, would you look at that? What are we checking out this time around? A couple of SCVs once again with a mission. Alrighty. This could be a problem though. Reynor. Okay. Yeah, you were busted, dude. You were busted. Alright, anyways. SCV gets spotted, but apparently Clem still decides to start up the barracks anyway. It's a little bit odd right now. Now we played a mind game, right? But already, rather than going for a hatch first, the Zerg player has decided to go for a gas into a spawning pool. So Reynor at this point doesn't know if his opponent decided to abort mission entirely. He's gonna find out very soon that that isn't the case, but yeah, he found the fact that there was an SCV a little bit odd, apparently, and he decided to go straight into the gas geyser and then also that spawning pool with a much later expansion here at 18 supply on the low ground. Alrighty, so it's still gonna be a triple REX proxy. Now, it is spotted by Reynor, so he knows what he's going up against. Let's see if this can do any work. It's kind of odd. Normally we see triple REX proxies against a hatch first, which is the case in most ZVZs. Reynor decides to grab the second gas and goes into a Roach Warren. Huh. Okay. So I actually expected him to go into like an expansion there and then, you know. I think he's gonna go Roach Ravager from here. I remember an old school build order where you would go 12 drones on minerals and then 6 on gas, and you could basically pump out non-stop Ravagers. I guess that kind of makes sense. I mean, what are you gonna do with these SCVs? They're gonna make bunkers. What are you gonna do with your bunker? Like, you gotta kill the Zerg's natural. That doesn't exist. This is already an awkward scenario again. Yeah, he's gonna start up a bunker on autopilot and then sees, wait a second. There's no hatchery. Decides to cancel the bunker again. Alright, SCV scout in the main base will confirm what in fact is going on. Roachborn and second gas gets spotted, so Clem knows he is just about to face some Ravager harassment. Second queen coming up as well. This is odd. Alright, now obviously since those barracks are not at home, there's no wall off here for the Terran player, who's now desperately grabbing second gases, or the first and the second gas as well. Are you gonna float these guys back? Like, what do you do? Obviously, if you float them back, you're gonna be able to complete the wall, but you're not gonna have any unit production. But I guess even if you do have unit production, what are you gonna do with these units over here? Do you go into Reapers right now? You could go into Reapers, I suppose. Okay, Bunker will finish up the wall off. I don't know. He doesn't have enough gas at this point to start up any Reapers, but he isn't starting up anything at this point. We'll have to keep an eye out. Okay, so he actually goes double tech lab in the center of the freaking map. Ravagers are already moving across. There is an Overlord over here ready to provide that high ground vision, but that's way too many Marines, so Reynor decides to better of it. That's a lot of Marines, though, actually. Yeah, very respectable. Now, keep in mind, there's no combat shield stimp back or whatever, so these are a little bit different than the conventional Marines. One corrosive bow is not going to scare those bad boys away. A couple of Zerglings now indeed find out what's going on as Clem is making a Marauder transition. This is strange. Alright, there's the concussive shell upgrade coming up as well. Man. I'm such a nerd. I freaking love this game. I've been playing StarCraft 2 for 10 years. We have come such a long way. Like, StarCraft 2 in 2010 was such trash compared to this. This is amazing. There are so many strange moves going on here, right? Like Clem right now, predicting that there's not going to be continued aggression here from the Zerg. I think that's the right call. To be honest, like, high ground advantage over here is massive, right? Concussive shells is not... Concussive shell will not allow these units to escape. Now, Ravagers versus unupgraded Marauders. We don't really see this. So there's concussive... If concussive shell right there was finished, I've got a feeling that more of these Ravagers would have gone down. So I guess Reynor getting out of there at the right moment is indeed the correct call. I don't think he's seen the green light, though. Yeah, he doesn't know that concussive shell is done. Well, now he does. Ooh, nice dodge there. The Marines once again decide to join in the fray as well. You know what? Yeah, the Pokeboy over there is actually one of the most important units. Corrosive balls. Oh, once again, get dodged really nicely. Oh. Alright. Marauders in the front. Marines, well, I guess on the right-hand side, so they can't actually be hit very easily. One Marauder, sadly, there does end up going down. Once again, Corrosive Balls trying to get some value in as well. That hatchery is running dangerously low, but it looks like this is the moment where the Zerg player decides to commit. Good dodges on those balls in general, though. I mean, he could have probably taken a few less, but I feel like at this point that base is gone, right? Oh, he doesn't want to commit too hard. Like, he doesn't want to lose those units, right? So he wants to be able to walk on out of there as well. Grabs the hatch kill. How many units will retreat? There's no Zergling speed, so you can't really catch up here. Clem doesn't know that, though, so for all he knows at this point, Link speed is just about to finish up, so I think that's why he's staying here for a little while longer. Okay, I think it's time to go home, my man. Just run these units all the way back. Now, no Medivacs means that these units are going to be low hit points until those healers come out. I love the fact as well that they're using those sight blockers, right? So, like, the Fog of War blockers are super critical there. You seeing that? Like, they can't really see through the tall grass. They might find a Pokemon or two, though. This is so odd. Like, he's still producing from this location. Okay. You're gonna have to bring these structures home at some point, right? So, Command Center starts up on the low ground. This screams confidence. What are, like... Why would you start it up over there? Why not just start it up over there and then fly it over? That's kind of crazy. I don't think it's the right call here, but I mean, it does scream confidence to me. That command center decided, yeah, that's... this happens too often, man. I feel like Terran players, like, it's like the fly of shame or something like that, you know, when they have to lift up from the main base and go over there. They hate it, but more often than not, it will just get picked off. Now, by the way, there was a factory produced during all of this, and now also a starport as a follow-up. So Terran is now continuously teching up. Couple of tech labs over here. Speaking of tech, left behind. These are no longer valuable, though, even though Reynor had a couple Zerglings there, and I felt like he should have probably killed them. it doesn't really matter, right? Doesn't really achieve a whole lot. Now, at this point, yeah, those Zerglings very helpful. They're going to be able to wrap around the Marauders, and that means that the Corrosive Balls can connect a little bit easier as well. I'm still flabbergasted with the fact he started up a freaking command center on the low ground. Like, they take a while to finish, man. Ugh. Alrighty. So, let's take up inventory real quick. We're talking an SCV advantage right now for the Terran player, and also a tech advantage. Zerg is finally now securing the natural expansion properly. However, he's still got a little bit of harassment going on over here. I love the idea of a Cyclone here. Now, he needs to make sure that he lifts up, well, or I guess reconstructs the wall off over there. But the Cyclone is fantastic, super good when it comes to defending, obviously. I mean, it's a common unit, especially in Terran versus Protoss, where you make this to make sure you don't die to stupid stuff. They work perfectly fine as well. Even though that Ravager still gets a Marine there on his way out, they work really well against pretty much everything here that the Zerg player is throwing at him. Other than Speedlings, but Speedlings take a lot of larva, and Reynor doesn't really have a whole lot of it. So wait, are you saying here that we're now transitioning to watch the macro game? Because that's what it looks like to me. It's like, okay, yeah, we played around for the first 8 minutes. Everything's relatively even. Let us play a macro game now. It's like nothing happened. Stimpak's coming up. +1/+1 is coming up. Third CC is coming up. Alright. So, I would imagine most people would be thrown off their game quite a bit at this point, right? But it looks like these guys are just macroing like nothing happened. The only weird part, like, you could have skipped this, you could have skipped the first couple of minutes of this game, and then the only weird part, I suppose, is the fact that there's 3 tech labs over here in the middle of the map for no apparent reason. Fantastic. Oh, hey, by the way, I just realized this. I'm recording this video on the Wednesday, but it's gonna go up on the YouTube channel on the Thursday, which is actually my birthday. I mean, this is a good video to post on my birthday, right? I'm turning 28 years old. I guess I am 28 years old by the time you're watching this, which means that I'm literally a boomer now. That's how that works. Nice little bit of micro here by Clem. Once again, using the body blocks over there to try and grabbing or to try and grab a couple of those additional units. Anyways, I've been explained by Twitch chat that being 27 could be considered mid-20s, but 28 is basically late 20s, and 28 is basically 30, which means that you're basically a boomer. That's how that works. So, you know, my APM is just about to start dropping significantly, and nicely done there, good snipe. Yeah. We're basically old now, guys. That's how it works. Not yet, though. But by the time you're watching this, yes, totally. It's actually kind of funny. I always used to think that by the time you would be like 28 or something, you're supposed to feel worse than when you were 21. But I gotta be honest with you guys, I feel way better at 28. Or I guess 27. I don't know, man. Will I feel good at 28 as well? I hope so. Anyways, I'm feeling way better right now than I did at 21 is what I'm trying to say. Nice little bit of harassment here on those Marines. This is a good birthday cast. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know what we were going to be in for today, right? But turns out to be a very good series. Now, this is match point, obviously, here for Reynor, right? So he is in a bit of a tough position, but I mean, if anyone can crawl himself back into the game, I feel like it's Reynor. This is actually... Okay, so sometimes people ask, like, what is the difference between the top-level Zerg players? They all kind of play the same way. I feel like this is the kind of situation Sero would have a very hard time coming back from. I feel like if someone could do it, Reynor could. Like, Reynor seems a little bit more flexible than Sero in these kind of situations. It's kind of like, Sero plays a little bit more rigidly, I suppose. Like, he plays a very rigid form of StarCraft. He's been playing a little bit more flexibly over the last few months, but... yeah, if anyone can do this, I feel like it would be Reynor. Now, if you look at the supply counts, though, this is now essentially 3-base Terran versus 3-base Zerg. I mean, 4th base is being secured right now, but only off of 62 drones. This is certainly a tough situation to be in, and I wouldn't be surprised if Clem is going to be able to go for a lethal timing attack. Now, once again, these Zerglings, absolutely tremendous. Baneling speed, not done yet. Combat shield is finishing up during this engagement, so all of a sudden, those Marines all of a sudden found a shield in their backpack. Don't know exactly how that works, but turns out the units are defended at home as well. Siege tanks now actually siege up in a very aggressive position. Are you gonna run the Banelings? Yeah, apparently he runs the Banelings into the siege tanks. Don't really have much of a choice there, but that is also enough to call the GG, and that means that Clem gets a point on the board. Alrighty, so here we go. Next map in this best of 5 series is Death Aura. Very standard macro map, obviously. I mean, this map has been around for another season, so it's a lot more figured out. If we're going to be seeing a standard macro map, I feel like this is kind of the map to do it on. I mean, there's not really a whole lot of shenanigans on Death Aura in general. I mean, I guess there's these you know, speed up circles in the center of the map, but everyone has kind of learned to play with those over the course of the last couple of months. Maps like Lightshade are just a little bit less figured out, I guess I would say. Anyhow, here we go. No barracks this time around on the other side of the map. I mean, he could still go for multiple barracks. Now, there is... okay, there is a spawning pool first. Probably nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, from Reynor's point of view, right? He's been cheesed 2 games in a row. So, he's probably thinking, okay, what is my opponent gonna be doing next? I guess I'll just go pool first, just to make sure I don't die to stupid stuff. Probably is just gonna go for an expansion right now. Yeah, so 16 pool, 17 hatch on the low ground, and then a gas a little bit later. Interestingly enough, this brings your Zerking speed up a little bit later than with the standard hatch gas pool, because now you go pool hatch gas and you just don't have to gas quickly enough. Regardless, this should open up the opportunity for him to get at least a little bit more aggressive with those couple of Zerglings. Is SCV, or is Clem gonna send an SCV across the map? It's kind of important for him to do so. If he sends the Reaper straight across the map... okay, yeah, this is critical. If he were to not send his SCV scout and he would just simply send his Reaper straight across instead, the Zerglings are probably gonna loop around, and at that point they can kill the command center on the low ground, right? I mean, you could still kind of defend that by going for a Marine after the Reaper, but this makes it much safer because at this point, Clem is going to be able to figure out that it's not a hatchery first, and in fact a pool first, and then he can turn that Reaper around and still actually save the CC any trouble. So I guess seeing the Zerglings right now is all that he really needs to. We will see the timing right here of that hatchery, and now that Reaper will probably stay closer to home. Just checking, I guess, if there's no proxy hatchery anywhere. Is he actually still just going to send it across the map? He must feel really confident in his Marine. Oh, I think he's just saving the SCV. Yeah. He's saving the SCV. He's a man of the people. Anyways, that doesn't mean that 4 Zerglings over here on the left-hand side of the map. 1 Marine is going to be all that that's there to stop him. I wonder if maybe Clem thought that this was going to be a like two Zerglings here in total, rather than the conventional, you know, 4 or 6. Yeah, this now creates a little bit of trouble for him. So the Reaper at this point is making a beeline back home. Huh, okay. So I thought Clem was going to be able to defend this perfectly. I guess he's still going to be able to do a really good job here, but this is, yeah, less ideal. Maybe actually, and I don't know if this is like a 300 IQ mind game. I thought that this was a misplay here from the Zerg. But we saw 2 Zerglings running down this ramp, and then 4 Zerglings towards the left. Maybe it was Reynor thinking, okay, I saw your SCV scout going through the center of the map. In previous games, I've gone for a pool first and then sent 2 Zerglings instead. If I show you 2 Zerglings right now, the 4 on the left are gonna... I don't know. Could be, right? Like, there's certainly some mind game potential between these 2 players. Wouldn't be surprised, actually, if that was on purpose. Like, it makes no sense to send 2 Zerglings over here and 4 over there, right? So, I guess it's on purpose. Anyhow, not a big deal. Everything is kind of normal. No SCVs were killed. A couple of Zerglings were killed, though. And, I mean, despite the fact, obviously, that Reynor takes a small economic or a hit, I suppose, there from grabbing that hatchery a little bit later, it's really not the end of the world at all. Now, would you look at that? A fusion core as a follow-up. So Clem is going to go for a battlecruiser opener. I actually like it. Even though we saw Reynor going for a... we saw him going for the Overlord speed upgrade in the very first map today. I don't think he's going to go for Overlord speed after this opener, right? Like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Overlord speed at this point is going to be even more expensive. I mean, relatively speaking, that is. So he's probably not going to figure out that this is indeed going to be a fusion core opener. Unless this Overlord goes up uncontested through the main base. Here's Jimmy, though. Jimmy has roller skates under his boots. Are you seeing this? He's turning around so smoothly. I've never actually noticed that. It's like he's on rollerblades. Anyways, so I guess this will still, you know, confirm the most important part here for the Zerg. No cloaking field upgrade and something with a tech lab is being produced. Could be a Raven, could be a Banshee, could be a battle cruiser. Either way, you need spore crawlers. And yeah, that's exactly what Reynor does here. Yeah. So there comes the lair as well. Maybe he would have decided to go for double upgrades here instead of a lair if he would have seen that there was no tech lab on there. I'm not sure. Guess we will never know. Third CC at the front as well for the Terran player now, so this is going to be a macro battlecruiser opener. We haven't seen a lot of BCs recently. It's kind of fallen out of yeah, favor recently. I don't know why. They always seem to do really well. Well, I say that and watch this battlecruiser achieve absolutely nothing. I wouldn't be surprised. So it's just going to be a single BC. There's already a switcheroo waiting to happen. Okay. It's just going to go straight onto the third base. Spore Crawler is in a perfect position. Queen starts shooting spines right away. And, hey, he gets a working kill or two. Nope, just one. At the same time, the Hellions, though, ooh. Hold your giggling, Lowko. Pay attention to the mini-map for once, dang it. There you go. Even though the battlecruiser achieves very little. This is nice. 10 drone kills in total right now, and they're not done yet. Obviously, you do lose the Hellions here as well. They're not going to be able to go home, but I would say that's worthwhile, right? Pretty good trade. Battlecruiser comes back in. Queens are obviously going to, like, once again run on over in this direction. Spire comes up here. Reynor at this point doesn't know if it's the more standard triple battlecruiser opener or if this is going to be a single BC. So he's essentially forced now into a Spire. Obviously, like, here's the thing. You need corruptors usually against triple CC openers. I guess you can still go ahead and transition right now. We'll actually hold that thought. Is this going to achieve a whole lot? Siege tank, is it going to stay alive? Okay, the tank falls. So I guess that makes it worthwhile. Anyways, he could still go for Mutas here. So in a way, the battlecruiser openers basically always force a Spire. And then, depending on if it's a triple CC, or sorry, a triple BC or a single BC opener, we'll see either Mutas or Corruptors. I think that this is just going to be Mutaling Bane at this point. Reynor doesn't seem to be too fond right now of playing Mutaling Bane. He's actually said in the past that he really does not like playing Mutaling Bane against Clem because he's too good against him. Especially with Widow Mines. Now, knowing that, right, I'm a little surprised that Clem actually decides to go for siege tanks here in the first place. Usually Widow Mines are, you know, the standard follow-up here. Because this pretty much always forces out a Spire, right? Maybe he wants to get a couple of siege tanks out first just to be safe. Battlecruiser once again jumps across the map, confirms the timing right now on the fourth base. It's like a free tactical jump, except that he's going to have to repair some of this. The only problem at this point is that Mutas are already coming up. +1 flyer weapons. Well, that's not the Spire. +1 flyer weapons is coming up. So, feel like this battlecruiser will probably die. Here come the Mutas. You need a bunch of them, though, all together. You know what? Maybe. Trying to target fire down the Banes. Not quite gonna happen. Yeah, so the battlecruiser will try and get as much damage done as it can before it's gonna be forced on home. Transfuse there as well on the Mutalisk. Even though they have the rapid regeneration. Kind of like the combat drugs there from that Reaper from earlier. But, alright, so map control right now goes in favor of the Zerg. This is the point where Zerg can start doing whatever they please. Terran obviously could still go for medevac drops, and maybe Clem is going to be brave enough to do so, but it's technically a bit of a gamble. This is the moment where it very much so becomes a game of skills, right? I mean, obviously game of skill is always there, but the Zerg's multitasking here has to be on point. Creep spread, Queen injects, like the Muta harassment. Technically speaking, the sky is the limit. There's never really a moment of dullness, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And that is a good start there for Clem. Grabs 2 of those Mutas for free. Even though he lost the BC earlier, you can see that the trades have still been very efficient on his end in general. +1/+1 is also super late, actually. So these probably didn't start up until, what, like 8.5 minutes? Maybe 8 minutes? Wasn't quite paying attention to that. Terran is already started up 2-2. Which, yeah, gives him a nice little timing window here. Still though, the creep spread is looking good, so the banelings should be able to defend these pushes relatively easily. Plus, this is now still siege tanks. I don't like siege tanks that much here. He's already transitioned though towards Widow Mines. Once again, good splits there. Woo! Beautiful split there by Clem. Oh, that's so hard, man. Like, whenever I try that, I lose all my Marines to like 2 banelings, and I'm like, okay, I was feeling like a god, and now I feel like a total pleb. Right? You're like, okay, I've got this. Let's pull this off. Here we go. Once again, round 2. Not quite gonna happen. Mutas, though, go around the back, and they're gonna be able to find a couple of those siege tanks. Here come the banelings once again. Ugh. I mean, he needs to run, right? Otherwise, the Mutas are gonna be able to clean this up. Now that he's off creep, though, I guess this is gonna be more manageable. There you go. The good control once again by the Frenchman. Here come, what is that? Barracks 6, 7, and 8? Yeah, 6, 7, and 8 are coming up right now. 4th command center being secured. 5th hatchery at the same time. All the way in the top section of the map. Here go to Mutas again. What's crazy is that technically speaking, when Mutas are out, it should be the Zerg player that has map control, right? And still we saw this push here on the left. Isn't that kind of neat? It's one of the things that Clem does. So here now comes a Thor as well. I do like that a lot. I think the Thor is super helpful. Forcing this Zerg player to magic block constantly. I mean, it's not a perfect counter, but it certainly makes the Muta harassment quite a bit riskier for the Zerg. Obviously, the Thors have a lot of range. Their splash damage is insane against these Mutas. Marines just do single target damage, so they're usually a little bit easier to avoid. Now, even though the upgrades obviously started up quite late here for Reynor, he's going straight into 2-2. He's already got +2 flyer weapons now coming up as well. He can stay on Lair Tech for quite some time. There's a couple of ways in which you can play Mutaling Bane. One of them is to stay on Lair Tech for a while, which seems to be what Reynor is going for. The other one is to tech up towards, well, maybe Ultralisks or something along those lines here later on. Second Thor is going to be joining the battlefield as well. +2/+2 has just finished up here for Clem. He's now basically maxed out. Muta's in the main base. He needs to make sure he starts up the +2 armor upgrade as well, though. Oh, nice Thor. The Thor desperately trying to get something to connect. He really needs to start up the +2, or +3 rather, armor upgrade as well. He's got the resources for it now. Really hope he doesn't forget about it. Oh, that was close. Another medevac apparently takes the job. Massive Zerg army right now on the left-hand side, though. +3, by the way, does start up here, so Clem did not forget. Nice multitasking right there. Alright, so this push was supposed to happen a little bit earlier. Reynor's been trying to keep this Terran player pinned back for a while, and right now with that Terran army split up, this is the moment apparently where, once again, all of the Zerg units come together, and they are desperately trying to get the damage done here before the other Terran units can get into this position. Clem forced to split up his army because of Reynor's movement, and it looks like this is paying off in dividends right now for the Zerg player, who's just desperately reinforcing this with more and more Zerglings. Hive is about, I would say, 3/4 of the way done, maybe even more than that. And at this point, I mean, it seems like Clem is starting to fall apart, right? This is the point where Zerg can go for that tempo advantage. Nice Widowmine connection, though. Does kill a bunch of those Zerg units. Another Widowmine burrows in a pretty good spot. Once again, grabs a couple of Zerglings. But at this point, I mean, I'm looking at the army supplies. They still look pretty good, but I don't know where all those Terran units are, man. The Terran units, I mean, they're scattered all over the map. And, well, there it is. GG is cold. And with that, it is Reynor who obtains the victory in this best-of-5 series with a 3-1 advantage. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile, alright? And I'll see you once again in the next one.